One of the top questions we get here is, hey, what is a plea agreement? I don't understand what the plea agreement is. In simplest terms, a plea agreement is an agreement with the state of Indiana negotiated between our office and the state that would potentially resolve your case in a way that doesn't require either a bench trial or a jury trial. Most cases in the state of Indiana are resolved by some sort of an agreement between the state and your defense team. Why? Because in most cases, when a state offers a plea agreement, it is something that is going to be less than what the potential penalty could be received if you were to go and proceed with trial. So, for example, on a normal DUI case where you're facing an A misdemeanor, your maximum penalty is a year in jail and a maximum fine of $5,000 and a license suspension, assuming it's your first offense, anywhere from 0 days up to 365 days. A lot of times in a plea agreement, we're going to see a situation where anything that you have put forward, so to speak, as the case is pending, getting the alcohol evaluation done, getting the treatment done, perhaps doing a victim impact panel, depending on the county. Have you been on specialized driving privileges? Were you on any type of alcohol monitoring while the case was pending? All those things are used by us to try to negotiate the best possible agreement that the state is willing to offer. I tell everyone, my job and our job here at the Marc Lopez law firm is twofold. And we need to get you essentially to that, I call it the proverbial fork in the road, right? Because ultimately how your case gets resolved is entirely your decision. You can only listen to our advice. We can give you the best advice. We can offer, hey, I think, trial is better in your situation. I think a plea is better in your situation. But my job is to get you to that fork in the road to see, okay, hey, this is as low as the state is willing to offer. This is potentially as high as it can get if you decide you want to take the case to trial, and obviously evaluate the pros and cons of going to a trial. But in the bare minimum, the plea agreement is essentially a contract with the state of Indiana that we put forth if it's something you want to do to the judge. And most plea agreements can either be what's called set term, meaning there's nothing to argue about. We agree on everything. Then there's also things called open pleas, which is basically we agree that the judge can't do more than a certain amount of time, or judge can't do more than X, Y, and Z, and then the judge has the final say as to what any potential terms could be. So in a situation where you have a set term plea agreement, we submit that to the judge would review that and then hold a hearing, and at that hearing, if the judge accepts that plea agreement, he cannot make any changes to that agreement. You know exactly what the potential punishment or what the punishment in that situation will be. This goes back to why most cases are resolved by plea agreements. People inherently don't like the risk of what the unknown could be. If something by virtue of a plea is put in front of you where maybe you got a little probation, but you've already done everything you're supposed to do, so you just have to maybe pay court costs and then the case is essentially done. Maybe there's a little short period of time that you're on probation. Each case is uniquely different, but a lot of people take solace in, I understand exactly what's going to happen to me, versus if you do a trial and the judge goes off the rails and says, you know what, I understand you might have been offered a couple months on probation. I understand you've done everything. I'm going to put you in jail anyway. And the judge has the absolute authority to do that if you go to a trial, because then he holds all the power as to what the sentence is, hence the unknown. So again, 98% of cases, probably close to 99% of cases in the state of Indiana are resolved through plea agreements. And again, that's negotiated between our office and the state. And the biggest thing is, no one here is ever going to say you have to take a plea agreement. You must take a plea agreement. That decision is entirely up to you, and we will never do something that you are not comfortable with. If you have any questions about plea agreements, give us a call at the office. 317-632-3642. And remember, always plead the fifth.